Hey guys, it's Em from Jensen Weddings here. I'm going to be answering all of your wedding photography questions today for Polka Dot Bride, but I thought I would start with letting you guys in on a little about me. So I'm a Melbourne-based wedding photographer, but I love to travel, and I shoot weddings on a whole range of things: digital, film, Polaroids, and I've also lately started making Super 8 wedding videos, which is so much fun. When I'm not shooting weddings, I'm usually on a roadie somewhere, most likely in the outback, or up shopping for rad 70s fashion. And if you guys have any questions at all about wedding photography, I'm going to do my very best to answer them for you today, so make sure you send them through. So the first question is, what is the number one thing that people often forget when booking a wedding photographer? This is a really tough one because there's so many things, but I think one that's really important is if there's any awkward vibes or just tension between maybe two family members or a couple of friends, make sure you let your photographer know up front, because if there's going to be group shots where these people are being posed together, it's going to make it really uncomfortable for everyone if we don't know that they don't get along. So always straight up, just let your photographer know, and I think this will help make your whole wedding day run much more. So we don't really need to be handed an extensive shot list of all the photos to be taken over the day, because photographers, we shoot weddings a lot and we kind of have a good gauge on what's important and should be captured. But I do think if there's specific shots you want, say with specific family members or moments that maybe aren't as obvious, I definitely think it's a good idea to let your photographer know, just so that nothing is missed on the day. So in terms of finding a wedding videographer and a photographer that work well together, I would find one, either a photographer or a videographer, and I would chat to them and see who they recommend, because they're only going to recommend people they work well with. And if you're really happy with them and they have a good vibe and a good relationship with you, probably the people they work with and that they recommend will be the same. So it's probably easiest to find one first and ask them for recommendations. So in terms of the first look, if you want the surprise kind of reveal element when you and your partner see each other, but you don't want it with the pressure of all your guests, I think it's a really beautiful way to go about it. I personally prefer the idea of when the couple gets ready together and greets the guests together, and there's not really an aisle walk so much. I think that's kind of a really rad way to do it, because you can still spend a lot of time together on the day without everyone being around, which is lovely. But if you do want the surprise element, definitely go for a first look for sure. So the next question is, I have a limited budget. Should I spend my money on getting ready shots or on party shots, as in the reception afterwards? This one's super personal, and it really comes down to how you want to remember your day. If you want to remember your day kind of by the quiet and more intimate moments with your family getting ready, then go for that. If you want to remember your friends having a good time and partying, then go for that. I would say if you're getting ready with your partner, this is like the sweetest idea. I love that this is a thing now. And I would say if you're doing that, definitely get getting ready shots over party shots for sure, because it's kind of the only really quiet, intimate moment you have between just the two of you on the day. Because after that, things get a bit busy and there's a lot of people around. So yeah, fully go for getting ready shots if it's the two of you getting ready together. One thing I would say about party shots is that you really only need maybe an hour of party shots. And after that, I mean, I'm taking the same kind of photos over and over. And also your friends probably just want to get a little loose, knock back a few drinks, and not have to worry about cameras being around. So if you're going to go for party shots, you really don't need probably more than an hour or two at the very most. And if you are getting ready with your partner, definitely go for getting ready shots. But it's fully just up to whatever you want to remember your day by. So go for that. So the next question I have is, what is the biggest myth about wedding photographers? I think the biggest myth, or maybe misconception, about wedding photographers is that they're supposed to rock up in all black, they're supposed to blend in, and they're just a hired employee of your wedding. This is so wrong. I think you need to get along and feel like your wedding photographer is one of your mates if you want candid, authentic, unposed shots. Because if you hire someone you don't feel comfortable around, you're going to get really corny posed kind of shots, and it's not going to be fun. You're going to feel uncomfortable. Definitely hire someone that feels like your mate. And I think to do this, you really need to either meet or at the very least speak on the phone to your wedding photographer before booking them in, so you can make sure that they feel super comfortable around you and you feel super comfortable around them, and that's how you're going to get really good shots of your day. The next question is, would you recommend an engagement shoot? This one really comes down to your budget. I think if you can afford it, an engagement shoot is really great because, as I was saying before, it's really important to establish a friendly relationship with your photographer where you feel at ease around them. And I think an engagement shoot is great for this, so that you don't have another added pressure on your wedding day of like, will you or will you not feel comfortable around your photographer? If you've already worked with them on portraits, you're going to. So if you can afford it, definitely go for it and get an engagement shoot too. If you can't, I mean, it's a nice thing to have, but if you don't want your wedding photos to look dated, really consider what's authentic and what you and your partner love, and completely disregard trends, because trends fluctuate and transition so quickly, and they tend to date really quickly and easily. One example of this is the 80s, where shoulder pads and mullets and big hair was all the rage, and that really kind of went out of fashion quick because that's just how trends work. They're in and out. So if you do something that's really you and that you genuinely love, regardless of what the current trends are, I think that's going to make your photos much less corny and much less dated when you look back on them in the future. So literally everyone says to me, I'm so awkward in front of the camera and I hate being photographed. Help. But if you book a really killer photographer who you feel really at ease with and comfortable with, and they feel like a friend, they'll be able to give you direction, and they'll be able to give you direction that you can move into and feel yourself in, and you don't feel stiff and staged in. And the photos will be killer. And I know it feels daunting, but I promise it's so much easier on the day. So just really consider your photographer and book someone that you feel super yourself and at ease around, and they'll be great regardless. So in terms of undercover spots, your photographer is going to be aware that weather is a thing, and we'll have some locations nearby in mind that will be good for if it's rainy or if it's really hot or stormy or the light sucks or whatever it is, and we'll be able to suss out and make it up as we go along by checking out the lighting in different places and seeing what's going to work. So you really don't need to worry about that, because your wedding photographer's job is to work out the spots and to work out the light and to recommend to you the best spaces for this. So yeah, leave it to them. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Feel free to hit me up if you have any more questions over on my Instagram at mjensenweddings.